I'm Amy from Designs. I have this jar and I'm going to make it look like an old bottle of Easter egg dye. I'm going to grunge it up and paint it and add a label to it. So I have this label and I want to figure out how big to print the label. There's a little bit of etching on the glass right here that I couldn't get off. I was able to get the rest of the labels off. So I want to make sure that my label covers that. So I want it to be probably about 3 inches tall. So now that I know that, I can print my label the right size. Now this printable is available in my Etsy printable shop, and I'll put a link in the description below. You can either go over here to printable labels and find it, or you can search for dye and find it. It comes in both an ink saver version and a regular version, so you can print it out on regular paper with this version, or you can print it out on your already aged paper using this version and save a little bit of ink. Alright, to print the label a different size, the way I like to do it is to bring it into my word processor. I'm on a Mac, so I have Pages, but you could use whatever word processor you have available. And so I'm going to bring the file in, and it is going to be too large, I know that, but I want to shrink it, and I can see here how tall it is, and I want it to be about 3 inches tall. So then I will print it, and I'm going to say better quality. I think they print better, the labels, if you do use a better quality. So I want the dye to look like it's an indigo color. I don't really have an indigo, so I'm going to mix a few blues together and see what I get. This one is English Navy, and I've got some True Navy. Okay, which I think is gone, and some Sky Blue. So then I'm going to take the paintbrush and dip it in and try to paint the sides and the bottom of the jar. I think that's about as far up as I can get with this because of the narrow neck, but I don't want this paint up here, so I'm going to take a Q-tip and clean that part off. I've got a Q-tip wet here now to try to finish it off, see if I can get the last of that paint off. Okay, that looks pretty good. So before the paint completely dries, I want to take some instant coffee and sprinkle a little bit of that in there also, and then shake it up. Well, I should have done that before I cleaned the top. It's giving it a kind of dirty look from the inside now. And I didn't think that I wanted that up there at the top, but I think I actually like that where it looks like it's been used and poured out a little bit and dyed the glass. So now I have my label printed out and I want to tear it along the edges. I don't want to cut it. It would be too crisp of an edge if I were to cut it. So I'm just going to fold it along the edges and then tear it. All right, then I want to put it here and make sure it looks like it's going to be the right size. So now I've got some matte finish Mod Podge. I'm just going to pour a little bit into my paint tray here because I'm going to be mixing some coffee in it. And I don't want to mix the coffee into my container of Mod Podge. So I'm going to put Mod Podge on the back of the label. Just using a paintbrush. And I want to make sure I get it over that edged spot. And then I'm going to apply the Mod Podge over the top. It will seal it in. Now for the instant coffee. I'm going to mix a little bit into my Mod Podge. The more I mix, the darker of a finish I'm going to end up getting, the grungier my jar will look. Then I'm going to sprinkle some of the instant coffee around onto the jar. The more I sprinkle, the grungier it will look. Then I'm going to take the paintbrush and in the areas where I have the sprinkled coffee, I'm going to dab the paintbrush, the Mod Podge, over the top. I don't want to brush it on. If I brush it, then the sprinkled coffee tends to want to come off. So by dabbing, it keeps it in place. And the second layer of Mod Podge helps to melt the coffee into the finish and make it part of the finish. If you don't do this part, the coffee just sits on top of the finish and it can easily brush off. Now I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. It is dry. It just took a couple of hours to dry. I'm going to put a little bit of jute around the top here. I'm going to start it in the back. Just put a little bit of tacky glue there to hold it down on the back. And I've got some sprigs of Sweet Annie, and I'm going to take a couple of those wrap them in with it also. Use the jute to hold them on. I'm going to end it at the back just like I started it. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe below. I'll see you next time. Bye.